the process right now of having a countertop special. Stop and visit them at Westside Decorating Center. Good morning to you. Welcome to the Art Lewis Show for this Thursday morning. Coming up after the 10 o'clock news, open phones. At 11 o'clock, we'll talk about Auburn and what's happening in that community. But we spend this hour with the president of the Saginaw Community Foundation, and we say good morning to the one and the only Renee Johnston. Renee, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. So, what's new at the foundation?
Well, first of all, let me just say I can't thank you and the whole Alpha Media team for letting me join you like every other month.
Oh yeah,
it's been great. I totally look forward to it. But yeah, I mean, you offered this wonderful opportunity. This is our 40th anniversary year, so
is it been 40 years?
40, yeah, and I've been there for almost 20 of them.
Wow,
which is really hard to believe. Yeah, 40 years.
I've been there for all 40 of them. That's even harder to believe.
But yeah, needless to say, we have a lot going on, and we've had quite a few activities already this year. It's hard to believe that we're in July, as we were talking before the program, but but we have coming up here in September, which will be here before we know it. Saturday, September 14th, we are having our anniversary gala.
Ooh.
Which, yeah, I know. It makes it sound so fancy, but I don't want to scare anybody to think that it's like a
You're
black
selling
tie.
Tickets yet?
I'm going to give you the information today, but tickets are not on sale yet. They will be soon. But I wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to be on your show today to talk about it. But let me just say that most people that have come to our annual celebration, which is usually in June, so this is why it might be confusing for people that usually attend our annual celebration. But being that this is our 40th anniversary year, we wanted to do a little something more formal, so we moved it out into September. So this is our actual annual celebration, but more of like a 40th anniversary celebration. And it's going to take place on Saturday, September 14th. 5 to 11 at Horizons Conference Center. Tickets will go on sale. So I would tell our listeners this morning to keep an eye out on our Facebook page, and we'll have information just going out when tickets officially go on sale. But just so you know, I mean, tickets are $50 for one, $75 for two, and $300 for a table.
That's all?
Yeah. You're like the second person to say that's not
well.
Well, and it's usually
you hear the word gala and you right away you start thinking $100 or $200 easily.
Well, let me just say, and first of all, before I forget, our our is sponsored by our one and only Garber Management. Our dear friend Dick Garber and team. They have been gracious enough to be our event sponsor, but
it mitigates the cost to the attendee.
Yeah. So, and normally our annual celebration is free. So we went from a free event to, a special. So that's why we wanted to make it more reasonable.
So it'd be a good opportunity since it's the 40th anniversary. And we've probably talked about this every time, but for those that live in a shell and don't know, 40 years ago, how did the Community Foundation come about? What allowed it to happen?
Yes. And this is worth sharing over and over and over again, to be honest with you, because, the Junior League of the Great Lakes Bay region, back then it was the Junior League of Saginaw Valley. It was their brainchild. They had heard it was their 50th anniversary, and they wanted to do something special for the community, like they always do, a signature type of activity or event. And some members of the league had heard about community foundations because they're a national. They had been around. They have been around. So they did their research, and with the help of our dear friend Ted Brown, really researched it and put all the legalities behind it, and they decided that a $50,000 gift to start the Saginaw Community Foundation, and and so we've been going.
Was there a state law that allowed for it? Did the state have any say in it?
No. This is, like I said, and there are actually the community foundations in Bay and Midland actually started before us. So it was a known foundation or organization to support communities. They just wanted to learn more about it and what it could do for Saginaw.
So from that $50,000 start that fueled the foundation, How big are you today?
We are $100 million.
What?
Yeah, $100 million. Isn't that crazy? Crazy.
So
Crazy.
what, and again, for those that don't know, what does the foundation do?
And thank you for asking that question, Art. So the Community Foundation, let's just say we are your community savings account, right? So we work with gracious individuals that want to give back to their community, right? And how many times have you talked to somebody and they're like, I want to give back to my community, but I don't know how? And I would just say, not just the Saginaw Community Foundation, but if you live in Bay or Midland or Mount Pleasant, Gratiot County, to Tuscola County, we each have community foundations. And I'd like to think that we are a vehicle for anyone that wants to give back to their community. You don't have to have a lot of money, right? You could, and we establish endowments. So we work with these gracious individuals that establish endowments, and we have different types of endowments that that we'd like to say are for good forever. You make an investment in your community foundation in this endowment. It can cater to an interest or a passion that you have in the community. But like I said, the key is just we want to help somebody that wants to leave a legacy and really give back to the community for good forever.
And the other key to that is the endowment is a revenue generator.
Yes.
You invest that money, and what is returned as an investment return is what you then
and
out.
we have and when I say this, every community foundation is a little bit different. So but in Saginaw, our spending policy is 5%. So you have an endowment fund, and so from an investment standpoint, our investment managers help us with that spending policy. So we want to help make sure that you have your 5% to spend. And then for a majority of our funds, for our administration of those funds, we have a 1% fee. Right. So we want to make sure we generate at least 6%. And to be honest with you, over the last 10 years, we have an average of 8% return. So you're earning money on your fund. But then, like I said, we're going to give you 5% and then a 1% for the fee. So
does the creator of the endowment, whoever makes the initial contribution, have a say in how that money's spent and what it goes for?
So it depends on the type of fund, right? So, and you've heard me say, and actually this is good timing. The last time I was on the show, we were getting ready for our scholarships, right? And so since then, we've had our big scholarship event, and scholarships are very popular with people. So with scholarships, a donor can establish the criteria, right? So they can say, I want it to go to a student who's graduating from Saginaw United or Carleton, or I want it to go to a student who's going to the University of Michigan or Michigan State or Central Michigan, or I want it to go to a student who's going into conservation, right? So they can establish that criteria. And then we have volunteers that review all of our scholarship applications. And let me just tell you, we had a record number of applications that we received this year. We received close to 900 applications.
Wow.
And and then we have over 300 volunteers that help us review those applications. But that's a type of endowment fund where the donor has some say. Another one that I'd like to mention just really quickly, and this is a type of fund that I like to make sure that people realize that we have available for anybody that wants to give back to the community. But we have a fund that's called a donor advised fund. And a donor advised fund is like a family or an individual's private foundation, but they don't have to worry about managing it and or anything. We manage the fund for them. And with the money that's available for them to grant out, we make them aware of how much that is, and then they tell us where they make a recommendation where they'd like that money to go in the community. And we vet it out. We make sure it's a viable organization before we grant those monies. So I'd like to think that, your community foundation really wants to help you. So there's not a lot of work on the behalf of the individual, but we can do that work for you to give back to the community.
The other thing I have to ask, someone has a nonprofit, but they're not a 501c3. Can they come to you as the fiduciary responsibility for them and use your 501c3?
See, Art, the more I'm on your show, you become so knowledgeable of the Community Foundation. So thank you once again for asking that question. So yeah, there are so many. let me just say, and I know we've talked about this before, but and I'd like, hopefully we can talk more about it later on the show, but we are so blessed here in Saginaw. We really are. There are people in our community that don't realize that they are leaders in our community, right? Anybody that has passion and wants to do something for the community, in my mind, they're a leader. Right. And that's what I'd like to talk more about if we get a chance later.
I'll tell you what, let's hold that.
Okay.
Take a break, and then we'll come back and do that.
Yeah.
And we are chatting with Renee Johnson from the Saginaw Community Foundation. We will be back after these notes.
For over 25 years, Line X.
This is a test of the emergency.
Back with you on the Art Lewis Show, talking to Renee Johnson's president of the Saginaw Community Foundation. Before the break, we were talking about, I posed the question of, can we use your 501c3 if we're a nonprofit, but we don't have one? Mm-hmm. And you started to talk about some folks in the community. So
yeah, I mean, I guess I just wanted to say that, once again, we are so blessed in our community to have individuals that may not consider themselves as leaders, but I consider them leaders because they take on or strive to take on some big projects for the benefit of the community. And those are the types of individuals or projects that the Community Foundation is very honored and willing to work with and allow them to use our 501c3 if they don't have that status. So we will serve as a fiduciary. And in that case, what we allow is for a group or individual or organization to use our 501c3 so they can raise funds specifically for a project. Those fundraiser dollars come to us, to the Community Foundation, to manage, and we hold them in a fund specific for that activity. And then we'll pay bills, we'll pay the expenses for the project, as requested. And then we have these beautiful activities or projects that are created or established in our community. For example, the Garber Tennis Courts, Shine Bright Saginaw, Hoyt Park, the Rainbow's End Playground over by Sam's and Walmart. I mean, there's some amazing projects that I can't say that the Community Foundation can take credit for. I mean, I guess we can take credit that we allow the money we manage the funds. And then I'd like to say that we protected those fundraisers as well, right? To make sure that the monies were used properly. And that, and then we give guidance. We help, they may consult with me to ask, well, what foundation should we ask for dollars or should we not ask for dollars? So there definitely is a role for the Community Foundation, but it's something we're proud to do.
If someone with one of those projects or nonprofits doesn't have a 501c3 and they come to you, is there a time limit how long they can be under your umbrella?
I mean, we'd like to say that, and when I say this, my team back in the office might be like, oh, Renee. We'd like to say that, 3 years, if we could work towards 3 years as a timeline. But we know that there are some activities or some processing to get a 501c3 may take a little bit longer. So we try to be flexible. Once again, if we feel it's a viable activity and something that's going to have a great impact on the community, we'll provide that flexibility.
Do you aid in any way in an organization getting a 501c3? Can you guide them along those lines?
I mean, we will not actually do the paperwork. There are a lot of times I will consult.
That's a legal kind of thing.
Right. I mean, and let me just say, anybody that's thinking about it right now, I would say, come talk to me or someone, because let's just face it, we have a lot of nonprofits. We have a lot of 501c3s in the community. And even though I said that we are very gracious and giving community, which we are, right? But we have to be honest with ourselves. We are limited in the amount of resources, financial resources we really have to support nonprofits. But I just want to remind everybody, we have some amazing nonprofits that are providing some great services in our community. So the only reason I would say, before you just say, I wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to start a 501c3, think about what's already being offered. When you think about the service that you want to establish a 501c3 for, let's, think about what's already being offered. And a lot of times I can consult with individuals to say, okay, what is different that you can offer than this organization?
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. But the whole process of getting a 501c3 doesn't have to be difficult. I know people get scared when they see the paperwork. If you feel like you want to hire legal counsel to get you through it, that's one thing. I can walk somebody through it. But like I said, before you even want to get, because there's one thing to get a 501c3, but there's a lot more involved when managing a 501c3.
It's no different than starting a business. I mean,
Exactly. I mean,
you have the business plan and
yeah, there's a lot of strategies. I mean, and I would speak on behalf of a number of funders in the region. And I know this is, whether it's cliche or people, we say it a lot, but sustainability is key, right? I mean, I already said we are limited in Saginaw County with financial resources to give to all the nonprofits in the community. Funders would say we can't support every organization every year, right? So, and I know the nonprofits that are in our community, and I think they would have to agree with me if they're listening to this show right now. We can't think that writing grants annually is going to help sustain an organization. A number of organizations are very blessed, and I would say if you have an investor, somebody that you can count on to invest in you annually, that's where I would tell any nonprofit or new nonprofit to start.
A lot of foundations are anti-operational. They want to capitalize, but they don't want to operate.
Well, let me just say that there are a number of funders that want to see some immediate not gratification. They want to see some results, right?
Yeah.
They like programmatic activities. That's more attractive to them, that they're supporting an actual activity and they can see the results of that. Yeah. Maybe not immediately, but within a very short period of time.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're talking to Renee Johnson from the Saginaw Community Foundation, and we will return with more. Let me take a moment to tell you about Quick Lane Freeland, right next to my auto dealer, McDonald Ford. Quick Lane Freeland is where you go for all of your routine maintenance. And what's routine? Well, oil changes, tires, batteries, the like. You need a windshield wiper, that'd be the place to go. They also have something else that you don't think about often, but this is called FrigiFresh. It's a hospital-grade disinfectant that they place in your ventilation system, and it kills germs, odors, pollen, mold, keeps you healthy in your car's interior. And the other thing that's also in your car, if you have a newer car, that's a cabin filter. So when you stop in, have them check your cabin filter too. But FrigiFresh only costs $20. It takes 10 minutes. You don't need an appointment. All you have to do is stop in and ask for FrigiFresh. It's waiting for you at Quick Lane Freeland, right next to McDonald Ford.
I'm pretty concerned.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW. Renee Johnson in studio with us, president of the Saginaw Community Foundation. Recently, Saginaw was blessed with the Memorial Cup, and a lot of legacy projects came out of that. It really was good for Saginaw, wasn't it?
It was, and it took a leader or a couple leaders to really see or have a vision. Right. And
we'll start with Craig Goslin and Dick Garber.
Right.
Everything flows down from there.
Right. Well, and I recently had the opportunity to be on a little panel with Craig and to see a recap video. I mean, when you think about the series, when you think about that last game, I mean, I think it gives all of us chills. Right.
Hollywood couldn't have written a better story.
Oh my goodness. But and when Craig was up speaking at this little gathering we were at, and I'm just listening to him, and like he had a vision that nobody else really saw, right? And to take a risk, and it's funny because and this is kind of what I was not to take over your show.
Oh, go for it,
Art. But but when I think of philanthropy, I think of people or an individual wanting to be a leader, take a leadership role. And taking care of something, someone, or let's just say in this matter, our community, right? And Craig and Dick and Jimmy and that whole crew, I mean, they took a leadership role on behalf of our community. And even though some people may not have thought we could have done it, we did it, right? Yeah. They did it. And that's what, Craig, touched on a bit too, is, we proved that a smallish town like Saginaw could pull something like this off. But but it takes leadership, right? It really takes leadership, and
And support.
right? And you will get that support if you show true commitment and leadership. But I guess I wanted to get to just say, I think all of us, I never really considered myself ever being a leader, right? And I can't. I'm not even going to say
You're
that
alone in that.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, and I'm not saying that I am a leader, but
You are.
But I think all of us have to see that potential in us, and it's not easy. But I feel like I've had some amazing opportunities, but I think if everybody saw themselves as being wanting to give back or do something in their community, they can just take that opportunity to truly provide the leadership behind some of those things, and that's where you'd get the support from the community foundations or other funders, because it really takes all of us, right, to lead some of these efforts and to take a risk, and but passion and care comes with that, right?
Yeah, well, don't sell yourself short, because I do not know of any project I've ever been involved in where at least once the name Renee Johnson comes up. Let's go to Renee. What does she say about it? It's there.
You're all crazy. You're all
No,
crazy.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, I've been blessed to have opportunities to be on committees and such, to help with certain big projects and such. And I feel that being involved in those things, you learn and you make mistakes. And to be honest with you, that's kind of what I shared with these young men that I had the opportunity to speak with earlier this week is, when you think about being a leader, right? You need to, one of the key points I mentioned, well, there are 3 points I told them. I said, first of all, set goals. Second of all, make or take the initiative. Third, find the mentor or somebody to guide you, right? But to the point of make or take the initiative, right? I mean, if the opportunity is there and you're willing to take it, I mean, who cares if maybe you fail or fall? We all got to get back up on a horse every now and then, right?
Well, the first thing is to recognize that there's an opportunity.
Right. And once again, to your question about the community foundation being the fiduciary, when I see somebody willing to take that opportunity on behalf of the community and they have strategy behind it and support behind it, we're all over that. I'd like to think that the community foundation can offer support, and it doesn't always have to be financial support. It can just be some leadership support to make some great things happen.
Just out of curiosity, how many people make up the foundation now in terms of employees?
Oh, there's 9 of us. Mm-hmm. Small but mighty crew.
We'll take a break on that, folks. We're talking to Renee Johnson from the small but mighty Saginaw Community Foundation.
Do you know that air duct cleaning is...
Love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's good at it.
Oh, I
Sounds
love
great.
Christiana. She's sweet.
She is.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were talking about people were talking during the break about leadership. Not everybody is a leader.
Right.
You have to have leaders, but you also have to have followers.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have the worker bees, don't you?
Yeah,
And that's true in nonprofit.
It is. And to be honest with you, and as we were sharing offline, is that's all I ever really wanted to be. Not necessarily a follower, but I always thought I would just be behind the scenes. And I'd like to give credit to the Junior League, right? That's where when I moved back to the community and I wanted to give back to the community, my mom encouraged me to join the Junior League. And when I joined, I just wanted to be a worker bee. Like I really wanted to get to know my community again, know where I needed to do, and started doing that stuff. And then they asked if I would want to take on some. I'm like, yeah. And then I did. And then before I knew it, they were asking if I wanted to be the president of the league one year. I'm like, what? President? That's not me.
I was on that advisory board for a couple of years.
Yeah. But it's organizations like that help individuals recognize, like when you're given a taste of what it's like to work in your community, right? Then you're able to see what you're able or capable of doing, right?
You'll recognize this, and I said this in a speech a couple of times, but in the old days, I got here in 74, so in the first maybe 10 years I was here, you'd be on a board of directors and you'd see a bunch of faces. Mm-hmm. And your term's up and you go to another board of directors and guess what? You see those same faces. Mm-hmm. And it was the same people revolving around all the boards of directors that needed leadership. when the leadership Saginaw and the African American leadership and the Hispanic leadership came along, all of a sudden we were teaching younger folks how to be a part of a community. And now today you see a lot of new faces.
Yes. And thank you for bringing that up about board of directors and such, because let's just face it, we do see some of the same people around those tables. But before we say, go out and join that board.
Well, I have a passion for it.
Yeah, and I do too, right? But people need to recognize before you join a board, don't just think you're going in to sit on a board, right? These organizations that we sit on boards for need leadership, right? Nonprofit organizations or other organizations, they are looking. We need people that are willing to actually do work, not just sit there and have your name on the letterhead or whatever the case may be. So we definitely need more people to step up and fill those roles, but just understand what your role is.
And don't think you have to have money to do it, because your time is as important as dollars.
Exactly.
In many
So,
cases.
and so getting back to the point that I was making earlier about, everybody can be a leader in a way, right? You may not be leading an organization, leading a project, but you can be a leader in serving in a board type position and offering that leadership or support for a passion, whether you're passionate about an organization, because that's what our organizations need, right? Our nonprofit organizations need people that have passion for the work they're doing, right? And a lot of times that passion will drive you to do the support and provide the support that we need in our community.
Well, it's like everything else. You can get in for the right reason. You can get in for the wrong reason.
That's right.
If you're in for the right reason, you're going to do the job.
Right, exactly. But there's room for all of us, like we were saying offline as well, right? I think that all of us could do something to support our communities. Once again, it doesn't have to be the leader. You can be the follower. You can find a leader to follow behind and help support that individual, because there are some great individuals out there that just need that ongoing support to continue to make the difference.
So let us look at the Johnson crystal ball.
Do I have one?
Look 5 or 10 years down the road, what's the foundation going to look like?
Oh my goodness.
Much of a change?
I'm not going to say that a community foundation and the Saginaw Community Foundation will always provide that foundational support of working with donors to establish endowment funds. But I'd like to think that 10 years down the road, we will provide in a service in the community whatever those community needs are at that point in time. And that should be our role, right? We should always be aware of what the needs are in our community or what the opportunities are in our community, and we rally support around those things. So that's what could change, right? The needs or the opportunities 10 years down the road, those things are going to change, and that's where our focus might have to change. But otherwise, we will always be your foundational community foundation, providing and laying down the pavement for the future of the community.
So let's take any one of your foundational organizations within the community foundation that offers grants. What's the process for someone to apply for those grants? Do you send out for referrals for?
No, we don't. No, we do not do RFPs, but we have set 4 quarters that we review grants. So I would say that the first step really could be is just go on our website, take a look at what our grant opportunities are and when the cycles are. Second step, if you're like, nope, I want to be very serious about this, then call the foundation. My key team member that handles grants, competitive grants, that is Kendra Kemp. Ask to talk to her, and she'll want to become familiar with what your project is, talk you through it, give you the application, and then she'll review it for you, right, and give you some tips because she knows what the distribution committee is looking for. But yeah, be serious about it though, and don't just be grabbing for dollars. It's have a purpose for sure.
And you mentioned distribution committee.
Mm-hmm.
You do have those.
We do.
Some individual granting organizations have their own group, and then there's a foundation group of
Yeah, so the Community Foundation, we have a couple distribution groups, right? So because we have a handful of competitive grants. So we have our YWCA fund, which is a group of women supporting women's needs. We have our general grant making committee, the distribution committee, but then we have some corporate partners as well that have committees. So, but Kendra in my office, she oversees all of those. But then let me say too, another team member of mine, Brian Jackson, he also manages grants for youth groups. So if you're a youth group wanting to raise some funds for uniforms, whatever the case may be, you have a chance to receive a Dow grant that we manage just for youth groups.
And let's remind everybody in closing again about the 40th anniversary gala and when tickets might be available.
Yep, so tickets will be available in the next couple of weeks. Just keep your eyes open. Check out our Facebook, but just put it on your calendar. Saturday, September 14th, 5 to 11 at Horizons Conference Center. And as you indicated, very reasonable. $50 for one, $75 for two, or $300 for a table. And thank you, Garber Management, for being our event sponsor.
And thank you, Renee, for coming in today.
Thank you, Art, for letting me take over the show a little bit.
Oh, anytime. We'll change places.
There you go.
You can run the board.
Love it.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll take our last break here, come back and close out the hour, tell you what's ahead.
For over 25 years, Linex has...
First hour of the Art Lewis Show. Our thanks to Renee Johnson for visiting with us from the Saginaw Community Foundation. Coming up, we have news from CBS to bring you up to date on the world and the nation. Michael Percha is in the WSGW newsroom, and he'll bring you up to date on the region and the state. And then we're going to be back with open lines next hour, whatever you'd like to chat about for the hour. You can give us a call at 989-752-6111. Stick around for the news, and then we'll be back to talk with you right after that.
Broadcasting from the storm.
86 years old.
Sources tell CBS News former President Donald Trump will meet with Hungary's controversial leader Viktor Orban at Mar-a-Lago today. Orban met with Vladimir Putin less than a week ago. As ceasefire talks continue, the U.S. is providing more help to Palestinian civilians caught up in the fighting in Gaza. Correspondent Cammie McCormick.
As Palestinians flee Gaza City under orders from Israel, the Biden administration is pledging $100 million in additional assistance. That funding will help provide logistics support to the UN's World Food Program, which is delivering aid across Gaza. Aid groups have complained food and other supplies are not reaching civilians because of the security situation, including growing lawlessness.
June CPI report shows a sharper slowdown in inflation than analysts had expected. Economist Aditya Bave.
So that makes us more confident that whatever happened at the start of the year, the broader trend in inflation is helpful. We're moving in the right direction.
There's less progress reported on some things like food and rent than on others like gasoline prices. Millions of people in southeast Texas are still struggling without power after Hurricane Beryl made landfall Monday.
My wife says, well, we can go to a hotel. Where are we going to go to a hotel? We got 3 dogs and 2 cats.
Beryl's remnants have triggered catastrophic flash flooding in parts of Vermont. Gun control advocates not pleased about vending machines selling ammo that have popped up in Alabama, Oklahoma, and Texas. American Rounds Grant Major says he has a waiting list of 200 supermarkets that want them too.
We feel like we have the safest and most secure, method of ammunition sales in the country. I've personally walked into stores and big box stores and found open boxes of ammunition just sitting there on the shelf.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
Retirement is more than... Live from the 100.5 and 790 newsroom. This is WSGW News.
Sunny skies and 73 degrees at 10:05. Good morning, I'm Mike Percha. Police in Saginaw Township are investigating a shooting that occurred last night. Authorities say the shooting was reported around 10 o'clock on Mackinac Road between McCarty and Shattuck. One person was reportedly killed. 2 other people were injured, though the extent of those injuries isn't known at this time. Saginaw Township Police, the Saginaw County Sheriff's Department, and State Police remained on the scene until earlier this morning. A teen girl was reported missing from the Flint area 15-year-old Jania Mona McLean was last seen June 28th at her residence in the 1000 block of East Hemp Hill Road. Police say she was wearing pajamas at the time of her disappearance, but aren't sure of the color or style. Anyone with information on McLean's whereabouts is asked to call the Flint Police Department at 810-237-6951, or you can call 911. Congressman John Moliner's offices are currently accepting internship applications in Caledonia and Clare. Here's Christiana Malacara.
This program targets college students and recent graduates interested in legislative processes and congressional office operations. Positions are open immediately with fall opportunities in Washington, D.C. Interns will attend district events, draft certificates of congressional recognition, and monitor local news. In Washington, D.C., interns can conduct Capitol tours, research federal legislation, and assist legislative staff with opportunities to attend briefings and congressional hearings. Applications must include a cover letter and a resume. Those are due by August 2nd to molinar.house/internship. This is Christiana Malacata, News Radio 100.5 and 790.
WSGW News Time, 10:07.
Hello, I'm Shep. And I'm
W News Time, 10:08. The weather forecast is coming up. The Department of Energy has come out with $1.7 billion in grants to help 11 factories transition to electric vehicle production. The money is contingent on the companies meeting certain community and hiring goals. Analysts say it's only a small fraction of what will be needed to pay for an expensive transition. 11 facilities have been chosen to potentially receive the grants, including GM's Lansing Grand River plant and a parts plant owned by German supplier ZF in Marysville. Michigan is seeing a boost in crashes involving pedestrians and bicycles. The Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning says pedestrian-involved crashes rose 11% last year, and crashes involving bicycles went up 10%. Director Katie Bauer says a rise in risky driving behaviors is to blame.
With more cell phone use, electronic devices in the vehicles, and the use of marijuana now that it's legal, and impaired driving, there's so many different risky behaviors that are within our control.
According to Bauer, more than 1,000 people died on Michigan roads last year, down 2% from 2022. A new exhibit is coming to the Frederick Meyer Gardens and Sculpture Park in Grand Rapids. The work of David Smith will be on display starting September 23rd through March 2nd next year. Smith is widely hailed as the first American artist to make welded metal sculpture and also use industrial methods and materials. The exhibit begins with Smith's earliest sculptures from 1932, leading up to the year before his accidental death in 1965. Around 40 sculptures, paintings, and works on paper provide an in-depth exploration of his life and his work. WSGW News Time 10:10. I'm Mike Percha.
They have some special discounts on countertops. Stop in, visit them at Westside Decorating Center. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Art Lewis Show. This is an open line hour. Whatever you'd like to chat about, 989-752-6111. That is the number to call and get the conversation going. And I always like to yield to the calls and see what's happening. So we're going to do that this morning and start right out. And we begin with Carl in Saginaw. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Art. Let's start right out. You had a caller yesterday who brought up the question saying, about Trump's performance at the debate. He said, well, what lies did Trump say anyway? Well, I've got a few of them here, not all of them. That would take too long. Trump lied about having the best economy. He lied about the deficit under his 4 years. He lied about the job growth when he was president. He lied about the 2020 election results, that it was stolen. He's still calling the January 6th felons, he's calling them hostages, that's a lie. That's not true. He's saying that Nancy Pelosi should have called out the National Guard. That's not her job. It's under the president's direction. And then about abortion, he said that all Republicans and all Democrats wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. And that's just absurd.
That's hyperbole.
Well, it is a hyperbole, but it's just, yes, and that's the way he speaks.
So it's politics. So what you've just described is politics and words come today.
Okay, but some people think, well, he didn't lie during the debate at all. Well,
and Democrats never do that, right?
Well, I suppose they do. Not to this degree. Not to this degree. And one other thing, talking about lying, Art, this argument about abortion, that there are abortions after a baby is born, first off, that doesn't make sense. And if a baby were killed after birth, that would be murder.
You would think so, but there was and I forgot which state it is now, I'm sorry to say, but there was a state, and the language of their abortion law allowed for it.
Okay, but people are talking about like this happens, and I don't believe. I'd like one of your callers that brings this up all the time. I'd like to know when and where a baby was killed after birth. I'd like to know, what city it happened in, when it happened, and not just that. Oh, somebody heard it. Oh, I read it somewhere on Facebook that it happened. No, I'd like to know the details of this because I don't believe it's true.
Yeah, well, it was true. The law was true. I don't know if it was ever acted upon, but the law was true. And, just to have a law is stupid.
Well,
so I just
talk about over legislating. Yeah, writing a law for something that might go wrong someday.
Well, we do that all the time. That's what laws are.
Well, I suppose.
That's what laws are all about. Because someday somebody may try and violate it.
Usually somebody breaks the law, and then they write a law saying, you can't do that anymore.
No. There's a lot of laws that are created because the legislators see a problem and feel they have to address it.
Anyway, I think it's time we put this abortion after birth argument to rest. Unless, like I said, if somebody can come up with some actual where it happened, when it happened, I'm all ears.
All right.
I looked it up, and all I can see is that it's a rumor that floats around the internet.
Okay, good enough.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. And we say good morning to Errol. Whoops. Errol, you there? Errol, are you there? Let's try it again. Errol, are you there? Errol doesn't hear me. Let's try this. Let's put Errol on hold and then take it again. Errol, are you there? Errol is not there. Okay, we're going to move on. Then Errol, call back, and we'll talk to Scott in Saginaw. Scott, good morning.
Hey, morning. Art. I'll just hit this real quick. Your last caller made a bunch of accusations that Donald Trump lied on this, lied on that, but yet he never, or they never, tell you the truth. He said he lied on the economy. What was the lie, Carl? Give us the truth. Help us out here because we don't understand what you're seeing. And another one here is you had a caller yesterday who called and said Donald Trump is sicking Republicans on a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Jean should be ashamed of herself. And then she ends her phone call with you by saying, God bless, Art, God bless, read your Bible. Listen, that's a hypocrite because if you're going to say God bless, then follow the 10 Commandments that say, do not bear false witness. If you do not know, Jean, if Donald Trump did this or not, don't bear false witness. And we wonder why our churches are emptying out. And it's because of stuff like that, because people in the church, well, I don't want to get too far into the dirt on that, but we got to watch what we're saying. And, yeah, that was Virginia that said we will lay the baby on the table.
Virginia was Virginia. I thought so.
Yeah. And we will wait and see what happens, and we'll make the baby comfortable until we and I can't say the word infantilize.
Yeah.
However they say that.
Infanticize.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's out there in the books, and I'm not going to take the time to actually look this up because I've done this before, and Carl never acknowledged that he was wrong.
I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought they rescinded that. I'm going to have to check.
Oh, it got called back. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
The people went,
nuts.
People went nuts over that. Said, "What are you going to? You're killing babies after they're born? That's sick." But they tried it. They tried it, and it does happen. Again, I'm not going to go into the research on it because Carl doesn't listen to that.
All right.
So, all right, and one more thing. Did you ever talk to anybody about the red lights over on Michigan?
No.
Or okay. If you do, I can almost guarantee, Art, that at $10 a ticket, these cameras would pay for themselves in a single afternoon, man.
What is it?
It's
is
bad.
it a camera ticket?
Well, all I know is they got cameras up and down Michigan here on a lot of the roads, and I wish they would use it for red light.
Yeah, I don't think they do though. But there are cameras, but they're not, as far as I know, at least at the moment, they're not writing tickets on camera violations. But I could be wrong. I'll have to find out.
Oh, I wish they would.
All right.
Like I said,
I know.
Semis and all that.
All right,
Art, I'll
good
talk
enough.
to you.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
And let's see if Earl made it back. Earl, you there?
You hung up on me before, didn't you?
No.
Sir?
Well, I hung up when I didn't hear you. I tried 3 times.
Maybe you need your ears cleaned, sir.
Well, you weren't coming through. Let's put it that way. Nobody else heard you either.
Oh, I will now. Because I've got something else interesting because someone else mentioned it. I says, I'll ask. Can you name me one man in the world that has ever had a baby? Any place?
No, not that I'm aware of unless you count the movies.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you the other scenario. Then what the hell is men doing advising women on what they can do with their body? Period. End of story. Why do men have their mouth running when it's not their body and they can't have a baby? Would you please answer that for me?
Because there are a large group of people who there are women too who view the fetus as a live baby, as a live organism. And so they look at destroying that as taking a life. You know the answer.
You may not
agree with it. You may not agree with it, but you know the reason.
Well, I don't like the reason because I don't
so I said you don't agree with it.
The only one that should be responsible for that answer is a woman that's pregnant. Not everyone in the neighborhood.
Let me put it to you this way and see what you think, Earl. Here's my position on abortion. This has always been my position on abortion.
I know what your position is.
I believe in protecting the life of the mother, incest, and rape. I do not believe in abortion as a method of contraception. If you're going to play and you can't stay out of bed,
well, you know what? Oh, God, this is scary. I agree with you on that. It is not a way of birth control.
And
I agree.
That is my position on it.
And you should be charged on that. But as far as the other thing goes, it's the woman that's pregnant and her doctor makes that decision, not the husband, because he can't have a baby.
All right.
So that's it. I'm happy now. Talk to you later, sir. Don't hang up on me again. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Keep your...
I hung up on him. All right. We're going to take a break. Come back. We'll get to more calls. Back with you and back to our phones. Bob is in Saginaw. Bob, good morning.
Morning, Art.
Morning.
Hey, I jumped in the car just in time to hear Carl give his opinion on President Trump. And everybody has a certain opinion, and mine is totally in the other direction. I think that I was much better off 4 years ago than I am today. And I think the majority of Americans believe that they were much better off then. He talked about, accusations and things like that. And to me, all he had was accusations. There's no fact to what's going on. The things are worse now than they were then. That's just a simple truth. And Scott, when he came on and said the words that he did, he was right with the program there. Carl didn't say anything that, showed what he was saying was any more than something he heard on Facebook himself. And almost everything he was saying would relate straight back to Biden here.
Well, it's
the way it was said.
It's one of the things that's happening today in politics. Anytime someone disagrees with somebody, it's a lie. And you can apply that to both sides.
Yeah, definitely you can, and that's where we have Trump in here right now as a person that is a non-politician, and they're afraid of a businessman. He filed bankruptcy once or twice, but our nation is going to be filing a big bankruptcy if we don't take care of business here. You can't continue to do trillions of dollars in debt and then throw another 100 million or whatever it was he threw out today.
I'm going to correct one thing, though, Bob.
Okay.
He's a politician. He's been president of the United States.
Trump,
he's run for the office. He's running again.
Yeah.
You do that if you're a politician. He is a politician.
Let me rephrase that then.
He had business in his background. Okay.
But he's not a seasoned politician, though.
He's got his own way of doing it.
Like Pelosi and Waters and
that's all they ever knew.
On. That's right. That they've never really run a business. They never worked in the real world in most cases, and they are taking advantage of the lobbyists. They're making millions of dollars somehow on their $175,000 a year wages, becoming millionaires. Trump is the only man that's gone into politics, become president, and came out with less money than when he went in. Mm-hmm. And they can say what they want. That's just there are a lot of criminals out there taking advantage of being a big politician.
Okay. All right.
Now, this is the way I see it.
Fair enough.
So,
hello, Art. This is Bob's big brother Beaver. Can I interject here?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, the open borders is a terrible thing that has happened to us. And migrants coming in, and now I understand they're going to be able to vote. I think that's ridiculous.
Well, there's a lot of
United States of America.
There's a lot of discussion about that, but you may find in certain local pockets, but I don't think it's going to happen on the federal level.
Well, I certainly hope so, because this is ridiculous, Art.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, all right, guys. Thanks for the call.
Have a great day, Art. Thank you
too.
much.
Bye-bye. Yep. And here is Gene in Bay City. Gene, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Of course, I'm kind of fired up being called a hypocrite for saying God bless you. I believe in Jesus' teaching where he said, love one another and bless your enemies. And I'm not going to stop saying God bless you to people.
God bless you for that.
What I said about Stormy Daniels' interview, everything can be verified. You can go on the different computer. I'm not a computer whiz. But anyway, that can all be verified. She has a 13-year-old daughter, and the daughter got death threats, so they hid her somewhere. And Stormy Daniels is facing a $600,000 fine because she wouldn't tell the court where her daughter is. And she said at the end of the interview that, if these charges are dropped against Trump or whatever happens, that her and her husband and her daughter are going to have to leave the country.
Goodbye.
But anyway, that's
all I can say. All I can say is goodbye. I mean, if they leave, they leave.
That's not the main reason that I called, though. But I don't like being called a hypocrite. Everyone has their own particular religious beliefs, but I believe what Jesus taught, and we're supposed to love one another and bless each other and bless our enemies, and that's how I feel. But anyway, that's not why I called, really. There's starting to be some talk about this huge project that Stephen Miller has kind of done the lead on. huge, I don't know what to call it, a book or a paper or whatever, called 2025.
Project
Do you know anything about that?
Project 2025. Project 2025 is, in some way, I haven't read it, but I've seen enough about it. It's sort of the conservative playbook of the future, and that's fine. I mean, every group and party has their own playbook.
Now, to my understanding, well, as far as I'm concerned, our government works very well, considering the rest of the governments of the rest of the world. That, our government works pretty well. Well, this 2025 playbook is 900 pages of changes they want to make in the government. Do you think we need 900 pages of changes?
It depends. Is each page a description of the change, or are there thousands of changes in 900 pages? I don't know what's in it. I haven't read it. I know there are a lot of things that have been fact-checked that have come out to be false about it. The opposition was accusing them, for example, of wanting women to carry period passports to talk about when they're having their period and things. And it turns out that's absolutely false. It's nowhere in there at all. It was part of a satirical comment about it, but somebody picked it up and ran with it on social media, of all things. And
I hope as you find out more about it, that you will talk about it.
Yeah.
I just, to me, I think we're losing more and more and more of our freedoms.
Wow. Well, we're under a Democrat president now. How can that be? Trump's not in office.
I know, but that happened. I don't believe in abortion. I'm not for abortion.
Okay, excellent.
But on the other hand, some people are. And I have Republican lady friends that are for abortion.
And I know some Democrats who are against it. So, there's people on both sides of the aisle.
So, but that happened when Trump was president. That didn't happen when Biden was president. But anyhow...
Well, actually it did, but it happened because Trump appointed new jurists to the Supreme Court.
Now, Trump has said he's going to pick up all the aliens, immigrants, and send them back out of the country. That is going to take.
It's not realistic.
Huge amount of.
That isn't going to happen. Can't happen. Don't know where they all are. First of all.
I hope you're right. Right.
It's been that way forever. It's been that way even before Trump. I mean, going back decades. The immigration ball has been kicked down the road by administration after administration, by Congress after Congress. And, something's going to have to give at some point in time.
Well, I just...
right.
When Trump was president, there was an incident where an American Indian man worked for the railroad for 10 years, where he was stopped by ICE, and they took his driver's license away, said it was false ID. He had to get the foreman
from it's one
the
guy,
railroad company.
So one guy happens to in Trump, and Trump's fault then? Is it Trump's fault that happened?
I'm sorry, I didn't get what you said exactly.
Well, you're telling me about one incident with one man.
Well,
I'm asking, is that Trump's fault? Did Trump do that?
People he put into that position did that. But anyway, we might be looking at a lot of people, especially young guys, being stopped and questioned.
Well,
if he becomes president, a lot of young guys, especially if they're
all speculation.
You are a glass half full and so optimistic.
Yeah, I am, and I've always been that way. Hey, I got to run because I have to take a break here, Gene.
Well, that's a good thing, but
talk
God
to you later.
Bless you.
Thanks.
God bless you.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye now. We'll be back.
Are you suffering from pain or injury?
Continuing on, the Art Lewis Show, back to our phones, and Dom is in Saginaw. Dom, good morning.
Good morning, Art. Hey, I have a simple question for you. I want to get away from the politics and religion.
Okay.
But I'm sure you know the answer to this.
Uh-oh.
I haven't been able to get a hold of Craig Goslin, but after the Florida Panthers held on and got the Stanley Cup and the Spirit got the Memorial Cup, have both of them cups ever been in the United States at the same time?
Wow.
And Florida tried to lose
Actually,
it. It took 7 games, and they were up 3-0.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, I don't think so, because I don't know. There probably is another American team that won the Memorial Cup, but I don't know when. If it was quite a long time ago, I would think.
Well, see, I was thinking if there was one, it might have been Niagara or one of them teams years ago. But
Niagara's
I can't find
Canada,
anything
though.
on any of them.
Niagara's in Canada. U.S. only has Erie, Flint, and Saginaw.
Oh, I thought it was the other way. I thought Erie was Canada and Niagara was the U.S.
Nope. Erie is in Pennsylvania.
Well, I was just curious because since they won that Memorial Weekend, and then the Panthers won, have both of them cups ever been in the U.S. at the same time?
Yeah, I kind of not think so, but I'm going to have to double check. But it certainly was good, that's for sure.
Oh, I loved it. And watching the Spirit win, what that did for Saginaw was fantastic.
Well, the proof of that pudding is the fact people are still talking about it.
Well, and even out here in Cottsville Township where I live, you know where all them hotels are, right across from your studio here out on Casson Square Boulevard and Feltner, and all of them were full, not only Frankenmuth, but the ones out here were full too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I talked to some of the stores around here, and they said they didn't get the uptick that they thought, but they said there was definitely an uptick in business for a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
So the money did come into town.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of money spent. Yeah, absolutely. And the impact is measured in lots of ways.
If the two of them have been here at the same time,
I'll double check
it. Here and I'll listen. And I'm just curious because I'm thinking I don't think them have ever both been here at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But we'll double check. All right, Tom.
All right. Well, I just thought I'd lighten the conversation because it's been getting pretty heated.
Have a good one. Take care.
You too, Art.
Bye-bye. And we'll say hi to Mark in Bay City. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Art. How are you, sir?
Good.
Hey, Biden's supposed to have a press conference today.
Yep.
I'm not sure of the time, but I know
5:30.
It'll probably be. Oh, that's past the White House on what they're going to say between 10 and 4, I think, is when he's.
Yeah, he has to nap after that, right?
So my question from the press would be, who's running the country after 4 o'clock, since it's been confirmed that 10 to 4 is your day?
That's an interesting question. I guess they can wake him up if they have to.
Yeah, but that's not a way to run a business.
Oh, I know that.
So.
All right.
All right.
Interesting.
Sir. Take care.
All right.
Yep.
And Al, before we take a break, Al, good morning.
Morning, Arthur. I got a question about Biden's news conference. Do you plan to watch that?
Not going to be home. I may tape it. You there? Al?
Hello?
Yeah, you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I said I'm not going to be home, but I might tape it.
Okay. I just wonder, I wonder why he's just doing it now when he had all the time. We had a lot of important things in the country.
Because the pressure's
why he
on.
hasn't had a news conference before this.
Because the pressure is on.
Don't you think he owes that to us to do that?
Well, listen. They got to do what they think they got to do. Whether it's going to be good for them or not, we'll find out.
Well, that's what we're paying them for, to hold those conferences, I would think he'd want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, every president's different on that account. All right, I got to run. Take care, Al.
Okay,
bye-bye. You
Bye.
bet. Bye-bye. We'll be back.
I'm Paul Young, candidate.
And we're back with you on the Art Lewis Show, and let's talk to Bill in Cairo. Bill, good morning.
How you doing?
Good.
I listen to your show practically every morning, and what I come up with is Trump's a liar and Biden's a liar. How the hell do we solve this problem?
We don't. That's politics.
Well, I think we can.
How?
I think we can.
How?
How about if we placed them under oath, like they do in a courtroom?
Well,
just something to think about. There's got to be a solution to this crazy crap. This is absolutely... Somebody from another planet's going to look at this and say, my God, they were totally insane.
Well, here's the issue. The reason politics is so nasty is, unfortunately, we the people respond to it. If we stop responding to it, negative advertising, for example, would go away because it didn't work, and not going to waste their money if it doesn't work. But works. It works right now, and that's why you hear it. I mean, it's exactly why you hear it. And, until we come to our senses as voters and reject that kind of advertising and reject the kind of nasty politics that's going on today, nothing's going to change. And I don't think it's going to change, and I'll tell you why, Bill. Social media has become a huge influence on us in society, and there's so much negativity about it. It just permeates everything we do.
Well, I agree with that, but I think this could be maybe one of many solutions rather than just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I think they call that insanity.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Art.
All
Have a
right,
good
Bill.
day.
Appreciate the call. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Bye-bye now. It's unfortunately true. We just, as a society, react to these things. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll get another call in when we return here on the Art Lewis Show.
Fire up your fun this July.
This is a coordinated monthly test of the broadcast stations of the East Central Michigan operational area. Equipment that can quickly warn you during emergencies is being tested. If this had been an actual emergency, such as a weather-related or civil emergency, official messages would have followed the alert tone. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system.
This is a test of the emergency.
Spend it with Bob in Reese. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Art. Get right to the point. Carl apparently never listens to any other news media other than the legacy media. And so I would challenge him to do that, to listen to something else. But as far as the economy, we were in a stagnant economy for 8 years under Obama. And even in his last days, he was blaming George W. Bush for the economy. And then Trump come in, and in 2 years he had it going, and Obama took credit for it.
Yep. And then pandemic hit, and nobody was going to have a good time under that.
Yeah, and who created the pandemic? If you follow the congressional happenings, Rand Paul and Jim Jordan both nailed Fauci right to the wall that there was money from the NIH that funded the gain of function research.
But that didn't create the pandemic. That did not create the pandemic.
No, but it created the virus that created the pandemic. So
we
what's the difference?
we don't know that for sure.
Well, and then here, how come the Democrats were so against Trump when he shut down the flights from China?
Oh, yeah, no, of course. Of course.
It kind of tipped their hand, you know, and de Blasio was in New York and telling everybody, oh, come on out, there's nothing to worry about. They wanted that to spread, Art.
Well, no, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, it's easy to blame. Right. It's easy to blame the other side
for
everything.
I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that's what they did.
Well, you're blaming them.
Pretty obvious.
Well, then that's
it's
blame, isn't it?
Obvious.
Well, it's not that
right.
obvious. It's
responsibility. How about responsibility?
Well,
anyway, there's 51 people who are definitely worse off under Biden. 13 are dead.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Got to run them out of time
38,
here. Okay, we'll
Never
do it.
Let the enemy surround our troops.
We'll do it again, Bob.
And that's
Thanks.
what they
Gotta
did.
go. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the